People keep asking me if isopods and springtails means you never have to clean again. I love cleanup crews. I breed them, I sell them, I recommend them for pretty much everything. But they're not tiny janitors that eat poop and erase consequences. Let's talk about what they actually do for you, what they absolutely do not do for you, and why you still have to spot clean. They're detritivores. That means they eat decaying organic matter, rotting leaves, shed skins, shed exoskeletons, old food, mold, things like that. They're not obligate poop eaters. That's not their main job, which some people get confused about. The way I think about it is very simple. They're forest recyclers, not toilet attendants. What they actually do very well: breaking down shed skins, uneaten feeder parts, whether it's cricket legs or other things like that may be discarded and left behind, old plant leaves, stopping mold from spreading throughout your entire enclosure, which is very handy, aerating your substrate for your plants and animals alike to prevent anaerobic areas, because a lot of them do like to burrow, nutrient cycling. They'll break down all those unwanted parts into plant fertilizer if you have plants, or just, well, soil, I guess you could say. They assist with keeping up microfauna diversity, whether it be springtails helping to prevent things like flower pot mold or mites because they're eating the food sources that those animals would typically go after, or just other unsightly fungi, which the isopods will generally take care of. Soil health starts here, literally. They're building the soil system for you in real time. Let's touch on some subjects or points in which they don't do. They don't erase poop and pee. A lot of reptiles and amphibians produce a lot of waste that's protein heavy, or too fresh, or just plain too much for the crew to, your cleaners to clean up. So it'll foul long before it becomes broken down by these little creatures that we use to clean up or assist us in cleaning up. And by no means is this a just a bug keeper that is talking about this. I've had around 20-25 years experience with keeping reptiles over my duration of doing things. I just prefer bugs now. Urates, especially. That chalky white pill looking thing. Nothing needs that. It's gross. It's pretty much just ammonia. Disgusting. You want to scrub it off. They're not going to climb the scaffolding on your wall to clean up your crested gecko poop off the wall either. So make sure we're wiping that stuff down, scrubbing it down once a week, maybe more depending. High protein feces in a warm setup. That's basically you leaving a petri dish to see what grows. And I don't think you want to see what comes out of that lunchbox. If your animal drops a meat burrito in the corner and you're like, the isopods will get it, that's not true. They might eat a little bit of it, but you're not running a bioactive properly in that case. You're running a health risk for your animals. A proper, healthy, sustainable bioactive is a setup with small, frequent waste inputs, whether it be plant leaves or excrement from your animals, that the cleaners can actually keep up with. It's not a reticulated python in your 60-gallon aquarium because you can't afford anything till next payday. Isopods aren't going to clean up that giant rat that it had for dinner last week. Once you get into larger animals, you're going to run into a lot more issues, and you really want to avoid overloading the system. And that's one of the things that I hear a lot is, my bioactive failed. No, it didn't fail. You just overloaded it with too much waste and didn't put your due diligence and work into the aspect to help out your little cleaners that you purchased to help along the way. The other big one that I really don't enjoy or appreciate hearing, I guess you could say, is throwing new animals in a bioactive setup and saying, "Oh, it's a quarantine setup. They'll take care of it." You still should have to, or you still have to, monitor poop for parasites, thinning animals, things like that. Yes, a naturalistic enclosure is going to help the health of and well-being of the animal, but you still should quarantine your animals prior. You still have to spot clean. It's a big thing. I know it's not fun, it's impractical, and what's the point in a bioactive is what I hear usually. Situations like these are exact prime examples of when you still have to spot clean. Fresh poop. If you see it, remove it, especially from carnivores or omnivores that have a very high protein diet. Urates, they're not going to disappear on their own. They don't just fairy wings off like a pink pig flying, vomit or regurgitated feeders. This one's a common one that I see with snake keepers. Oh, the bugs will eat it. It's gonna foul long before they eat that small rat that you fed to your snake that he decided he wasn't gonna keep down. Crickets and things like that aren't eaten and just pass away, they will smell. They will foul the enclosure. You'll get gnats, you'll get mites, you'll get gross stuff. Bacterial cesspool. Shed animals. Sheds from animals. Yeah. I realize that people say, oh, isopods love snake shed. Sure. In small amounts. It's not going to digest, they're not going to break down an entire 15-foot snake shed in a week before it starts to go slimy and mold and gross. Think of it, the way I like to think of it is pull the biohazards, leave the compostables. Sorry. If it's gross, wet, smells like it's starting to rot, you pull it. If it's a dry plant bit, whether it be a leaf or something you cut off, sure, throw it to the ground. Cleanup crew will clean it up. That's true. It's also not going to smell. The last one that I wanted to touch on today, before I have some comments from our Instagram followers on what their thoughts for bioactive are, because that was the real reason why I started this video, or wanted to do this video. How to tell if your cleanup crew is actually working. A lot of people always underestimate or overestimate how quickly these animals are going to produce. The quick checklist that I like to go over, you see your leaf litter layer slowly thinning, not sitting there forever. If those leaves are sitting there, your bugs aren't doing very well. Something's gone wrong. You're not seeing fuzzy white mold everywhere that lasts for days, sometimes weeks. That's not good. That also means your cleanup crew's not keeping up and you're inputting too much waste. Your tank doesn't smell like a swamp or like sour, just yuck. That means that something's gone anaerobic and it's bad. Bad for both your health and your animal's health. When you lift up a piece of cork and you see isopods and springtails actively grazing underneath, that's good. That's a good sign. That's where we want to be. If none of this is happening, you either don't have enough cleanup crew or you're not feeding them. Everyone's impression is, oh, you just throw them in and forget them. They still need calcium. They still need other foods. They do need a dietary supplement usually I would say once a week, a small portion of some sort of food supplement for your cleanup crew to help them stay healthy. Just like you do for your other animals. You add calcium powder to your crickets for your gecko, add a little bit of food in once a week or every other week for your cleanup crew. Just to diversify their diet. Or, sometimes the most common one that I've seen is your enclosure is just too dry. They're not going to succeed. They are still crustaceans, for the most part. And all of them do require some source of moisture at some point or another. Bioactive is not set it and forget it. Bioactive is truly set it and support it. Your cleanup crew is there to help you maintain a living system, not to give you permission to ignore husbandry. I'm going to go over some of these comments from our Discord friends who responded to my story. Sorry, I bumped my tripod there. So Abby from the Microverse, when I asked what everyone's first thing they think of when it comes to bioactivity, Abby's response was springtails, isopods, fungi, bacteria, live plants. I personally find fungi and bacteria are commonly overlooked. There was another customer, Scorpion Addiction, that had a very good point on this that I feel is going to come up in another video. The importance of bacteria and the fact that the nitrogen cycle plays a role in our soils and not just aquariums. That's massive. You want to cycle a tank before you introduce your animals. You can't just throw it together that day and call it a day. This is exactly my prime point of why I wanted to do this video and maybe give some people a little bit of a reality check. We won't name names, but the comment is, Isopod's cleaning up everything, so I don't have to clean ever. That is the wrong answer. That is the boo of the video. I got 2 more comments that we're going to just say quickly here, and then I'll end out our video for us. The Plant Gals. I think an enclosure can still be bioactive even if not all the plants and hides are natural. Bioactive to me is soil base with decomposers, isopods, springtails, etc., and some living plants. I'm also okay with the term semi-bioactive. When artificial hides and plants are present, but there's still some part bioactive, not an all or nothing mentality. That is the proper way to look at this hobby, in my opinion. Also, I think complete bioactives can be too fragile for large animals. Again, back to the you have to clean up, but still should be promoted. They don't have to look super pretty to be bioactive, which is very true. And then we have one more from my good friend, Front Page Exotics. He says, all types of life. I think about when you grab a chunk of nature, all living things in an ecosystem. I appreciate all the comments. I'm going to keep the leftover ones that I have for a future video. And I'd like to leave this in your mind. If you're not sure what you need, message me or hop in the Discord, which I'll link in the description, and show me your setup. We'll get you sorted. No judgment at all. We have a very healthy, happy community with 0 judgment. We're just here to help.